changes. After Trump declared your country to be a country of particular concern for failing to deal with the threat of Christians, does your government only spring into action when it is internationally shamed into doing so?
Unfortunately for you, 6 months before that, we arrested the leaders of Lakurawa and Boko Haram. Some months before that, we killed a certain number of terrorists that the U.S. government, State Department, commended Nigeria. The U.S. Embassy celebrated the fact of the exploit of Nigeria before Donald Trump said that.
But again, he shamed you and you declared a national emergency. You didn't do it before he shamed you.
We declared the national emergency 6 months before Donald Trump's statement.
No, that's not true.
The president
of November of 2025.
No. Much earlier, around, I think, April or May, the president declared national emergency on insecurity.
But the actual national emergency was in November.
How can it be
let's
actual?
talk about, people can look this up. Let's talk about kidnappings.
Yeah.
The world remembers Chibok in 2014, when 276 schoolgirls were taken by the militant group Boko Haram. Very little has changed, unfortunately, in Nigeria. Just last November, 250 students and staff were kidnapped from St. Mary's Catholic School in Niger State. 2 years into Tinubu's presidency, Nigerian research firm SBM Intelligence said, and I quote, Nigeria's kidnap for ransom crisis has consolidated into a structured, profit-seeking industry. That's embarrassing for your country that you have a kidnapping industry.
I agree with the fact that the insecurity associated with kidnapping has now become a crisis economy. But much more than that, I know of our government's effort in dealing with that insecurity. If you have a little understanding of the nature and the boundary and the geographical measurement of Nigeria and the tendency for insecurity to come in, then you will understand that we're fighting a hydra-headed insecurity situation. With respect to the kidnapping of children, the government has taken measures already. We've introduced what we call Save the School, where students and schools that are in remote places where there is no security are brought back into state capital where they get the education that they need.
But Nigerian people don't believe you. 2 out of 3 Nigerians say that security...
Where did you get that information?
Africa Barometer. May of 2024, 2 out of 3 Nigerians say security agencies are handling the abduction of Nigerians fairly badly or very badly. 1 in 3 Nigerians say they personally know someone who's been kidnapped.
Yeah, you have
These are stunning statistics. Amnesty, Human Rights Watch have lined up to say that you have allowed impunity to flourish, you have failed to apply lessons from previous attacks, damning indictments of your security service.
I put it to you, that's not what they said.
That's not what Amnesty said?
Yes. Amnesty...
I've literally got the quote right here.
Quote it.
The authorities' failure has allowed impunity to flourish and the killings to spread to many parts of the country.
Source.
Amnesty International, February 8th, 2026.
Well, I'm not aware of that one.
You're not aware of that one?
I am aware. I'm aware.
At the weekend, you put out a video to music of you and a team researching and prepping for this show. And yet every time I've asked you something, you say, I'm not aware of that. What were you researching in that video?
You're really funny. Let me tell you this.
A serious question. Amnesty International, you asked me for a source, I read out the source. You asked me for a date, I read out the date. What's your response other than picking up glasses of water?
No, Amnesty has a history of calling everything bad.
Okay.
I think
that's what every authoritarian government in the world has said.
What is Amnesty's report about US?
Bad.
Not just bad, you didn't use the word bad, you read.
Yeah,
what
very
bad.
Said. Governments who do bad things, they all criticize human rights groups.
No.
Yeah, they do. I do this for a living. Let's ask about corruption before we go to our panel who are waiting patiently here. Transparency International, they say systemic corruption continues to plague the defense sector, causes a major hindrance to security. President Tinubu said in August, there is no more corruption in Nigeria. That's a ridiculous thing to say, is it not?
We investigate any case of corruption, not just in the defense, but anywhere in government. This administration has had lots of people who are in government, either sacked or investigated and being prosecuted. The resolve of our administration in dealing with corruption is obvious.
Why did he say there's no more corruption?
You probably read him out of context.
No, I didn't.
No, read exactly what he said. You're cherry picking. How can someone just stand and say there is no corruption in Nigeria?
It is getting clearer to the people. We have more money to the economy and no more corruption. Full stop, close quote.
Good. So this is the context. He was communicating to the people about the exploit we're having as a result of the decision to remove fuel subsidy. We dealt with the question of corruption in the oil industry.
And that's not what he said, but okay, he didn't say anything about the oil industry.
That's why I say context matters.
Well, you can't just make up the context. He didn't say anything about the oil industry. He said we have more money to the economy and no more corruption. In fact, he was criticizing Nigeria for this. Last question on this. How can Nigerians take Tinubu seriously on eliminating corruption when he appoints someone like Abubakar Bagudu as Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, a man who, according to the US Justice Department, with others, embezzled, misappropriated, defrauded and extorted billions with a B from the government of Nigeria under the dictator Sani Abacha. Bagudu avoided criminal charges. He cut a deal with the Nigerian government, returned some of the money. But the president literally put Nigeria's budget in the hands of a man who's accused of looting billions of dollars.
You started your introduction by saying it's a sovereign country. The decision of the court in the United States does not bind the Supreme Court of Nigeria.
But he gave $163 million. And that man is now in charge of the Nigerian budget. You're okay with that?
Do
you think it's funny? I mean,
no,
two-thirds of Nigerians...
You don't think it's funny?
No, I don't. I think people who are giving $163 million back shouldn't be in charge of the country's budget.
Thank you for your observation.
Okay, but do you think they should be in charge of the budget?
There's no evidence that that minister has misappropriated funds in the government of Nigeria.
Why did he give back $163 million?
To Nigeria or to the US government?
To Nigeria.
Why did the US government give him $100 million?
It's a settlement. That's what you do in settlements.
Okay.
Why was he settling?
Yeah, so,
okay. So you're comfortable with a guy who is accused by the US Justice Department of embezzling with the Sani Abacha regime billions of dollars being in charge of the budget?
Are you okay with a president of one of the countries in the world who was convicted by the courts in that land and the person is still governing the country?
Who are you referring
to? No, I'm just asking.
But which country?
Okay, are you also okay? Are you also okay?
Because if it's Donald Trump, I'm a well-known Trump supporter.
Are you also okay with the prime minister of a country who was accused of making a wrong judgment in an appointment that led to a lot of problem, but he has not resigned, he's still governing? Are you okay with that?
Well, by the time this show airs, he may have resigned. So your argument about Keir Starmer and Donald Trump, basically everyone else is corrupt. Okay. Let's go to our panel on that. I'm joined by Aisha Osori, a lawyer and writer with the Open Society Foundations. Aisha, how would you rank this government's record when it comes to security?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say 1. And I think one thing that I haven't heard in the conversation so far is that since President Tinubu came into office, we have no diplomatic presence in any of the major capitals. And the reason why this is tied to insecurity, for example, let's use our borders with Chad, Niger, Cameroon. When you had no diplomatic presence